Hello, my name is Matilda, and today I will be presenting on redlining in the US. What is redlining? From my research, I found two definitions of redlining, one that contributes past and the origin, while the other is more connected to the present and a law aspect. Redlining originally refers to the housing market when banks, real estate agents, and mortgage companies kept people of color from buying homes in desirable, predominantly white neighborhoods. As you can see in this map of Oakland, Berkeley, and other surrounding cities, it's color coded into four different colors, green being more desirable and more high value, blue being less of a high value but still high value, yellow being declining in value, and then red being low value areas where more crime often occurs. Redlining could be defined as a discriminatory practice that consists of the systematic denial of services such as mortgages, insurance loans, and other financial services to residents of certain areas based on their race or ethnicity. With this, we see that redlining has a lot of loopholes for multiple companies involved with how with the reason why redlining exists. A lot of homeowners and aren't able to be homeowners unless they have good mortgages and are often get really good loans, and those really good loans and mortgages often go to white people because redlining was a way to lift lower income white people during the Great Depression. Without any minorities in mind, we see a gap. What is the connection between redlining and race, class, and culture? Redlining was originally used to separate people by the way they look on the outside. White people lived in more green areas, green or blue areas, getting better resources and environments. As your skin tone gets darker, a biological feature, you are most likely to live in the red areas with less resources. When your area is worth less than the upper class, you lose resources that are paid with property taxes. Property taxes essentially pay schools, police, fire, and parks. So the goodness of your community depends on property tax, and property tax is normally distributed within the county or areas. So the higher property value and higher property tax you have to pay, you get more resources, while lower property taxes and lower property values get less resources. As you can see in the figure, we see that gap between white and then minorities. In this case, the minorities being Black and Hispanic. It's a 20%, it's more than a 20% gap between the two because redlining was made for lower income white people to get more white people up in the upper class or being homeowners. And it was a way to show power of one race and wanting to maintain power by separating and having that huge gap of home ownership, which is one of the American dreams for most people in America. The what what do study shows about redlining? Study shows that study shows that if you are a minority and trying to buy a home and you purchase that home, you're most likely the property value of the home you purchased is most likely bound to go down rather than up. Meanwhile, for white people, it tends to go up or stay the same. So with this, it shows that the more minorities that buy properties, the more areas are seen to become blue or yellow or red because of the separation and ideology that white people need to be more in the green areas. And once a person of color gets a property in the green areas, that green area is technically affected in the people's eyes because of money issues within loans and mortgages. The two whys. Why does this matter? The American dream, I would say it's one of the main reasons to why a lot of Americans strive through hard work to try to own homes or build up their futures because they want that better life for themselves and their future generations. The American dream is all about having that sense of accomplishment through your hard work that you could do anything, especially if you're building yourself up. But with redlining, that kind of defeats the purpose because there's that restriction of the wealth gap and the housing gap that a lot of Americans aren't able to own their own homes and they aren't able to um, complete that version of their American dream. Um, why do people care? People care because it's their future. It's their generation's future. A lot of the times, if you're living in the red or yellow area, you see the effects on your schooling and the safety of your environment. I'm personally from a red area where there's been a lot of crime, but it's been getting better because a lot of people tend to advocate for themselves. And but it's still an issue where my area is seen more red than other areas where we're not um at a different color because of the minorities in the area. So that's why it matters to people because it's all about trying to achieve the American dream and achieve that sense of stability and wealth and for their futures generations. Solutions to redlining. No matter what people do, there's always going to be that boundary because of our biases and how people think about safety wise. Um, it always seems it always seems to have a line drawn because of all the issues with redlining. Redlining was a way to separate, but even if you take away that map, people are still going to try to separate because in a lot of cultures, they don't want to associate with each other just because of ideals they might have or perceptions they might have um, of other people with different backgrounds. So no matter what we try to do to to prevent redlining to continue to happen and to continue to happen unlawfully, um, there's really there are some ideal solutions like getting rid of the map and having more loans and mortgages available to minorities, but there's always that background where generations face generational companies that have like companies that have that background can't change overnight. So that's always going to be in the back of the company's mind because they're trying not to lose money. So having that sense of like establishment of areas of where they don't lose money because they know that if they give less, they're probably the people that are being offered these loans and mortgages are probably going to decline. So that's it. Thank you.